Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast. If you're a regular listener, thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. If you're new here and don't know me yet, I'm your host, Katie Carey, independent publisher of Books That Matter and an international best-selling author, and of course, the host of this globally ranked podcast. I help metaphysical coaches and healers gain confidence, clarity, raise their visibility and their credibility, giving them the opportunity to shine their light brighter so that the people they are here to serve can find them. I do this by creating opportunities for them to become best-selling authors in my multi-author and solo book projects. I also offer one-to-one mentorship services to help spiritual business owners find and unlock their limiting beliefs. In this podcast, I'll be sharing wisdom from myself, coaches, authors and energy healers that could be just what you need to transform your life today. You can connect with me via the Contact Katie button at my website at www.soulfulvalley.com.
You gotta love yourself with all your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do.
I'm interrupting you with an important message. Authors and poets, it's time to be seen, heard and recognised. Are you a spiritual author, poet or thought leader with a powerful message to share? If you've been waiting for the right opportunity to step into the spotlight and make an impact, this is your sign. The Soulful Valley podcast, a globally ranked top charting show, is part of our exclusive best-selling book collaborations, offering select authors opportunities to share their wisdom, insights and transformational journeys with our audience. We currently have 4 best-selling book opportunities: Evolving on Purpose, Angels, Spirit Guides and the Frequency of Miracles; Evolving on Purpose, Akashic Journeying to Wealth Consciousness; Soulful Poems, an anthology of poetry activating your inner mental wealth; and Soulful Poems, Nature and Nurture. Our powerful collaborations have already launched authors into global success, with some even going on to feature in the upcoming Dr. Joe Vitale movie, a groundbreaking film set to release on Apple TV and Amazon Prime in September 2025. The trailer will be dropping in this month. You can see it on my socials and on my website and my Pensite page. I am also featured in the movie, so watch this space. The movie is called Zero Limits. It's time to stop hiding. Your mission deserves to be seen. When you invest in yourself and join one of our book collaborations, you'll gain access to business growth opportunities, powerful visibility and potential features on the Soulful Valley podcast, depending on the level of participation you choose. Step into your calling, make an impact, elevate your spiritual mission. If you're ready to share your story with the world, visit the link to my Pensite page in the show notes. And now, let's get back to the episode you came here to listen to. Lalitha Donatella Riback, international best-selling author, transformational mindset coach, entrepreneur, spiritual mentor. She's a researcher of human consciousness who has studied the Vedic culture of the yogis and sages of India for over 30 years. She holds a BA in Vedic arts and science. Lalitha guides her students to their highest human potential and has created ShreemLab, a coaching business that offers transformational courses for a miraculous life. Her international best-selling books, studies with renowned mentors like Deepak Chopra and Dr. Baskaran Pillai, and an upcoming feature in Dr. Joe Vitale's movie Zero Limits, have established her as a respected authority in the field of spirituality for the new golden age. You can connect with Lalitha at her website at ShreemLab.com. Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast, Lalitha.
Hello, Katie. So excited to be back.
It's wonderful to have you again. I'm sure our listeners know you really well by now because you've been on the podcast several times. You were in Evolving on Purpose, co-creating with the Divine, our book collaboration, and now you've just written a second solo book with us. as well as all of the astrology sessions or episodes that you've done for us at the beginning of every year. This is the 3rd year in a row you've done that. So we really, really appreciate you doing that for us. And
it's been an honor, definitely. Yeah, thank you for that.
Oh, I've loved it, and I think it's great for our listeners to have that. Lalitha, your latest book. Tell us a bit about it.
Oh, so first of all, I did not want to write another book. In May last year, I was very happy because Think and Receive Miracles was #1 in the US and Australia on Amazon. So I was very fulfilled. I thought, okay, this book, I got the point, my teachings, 30 years of research and teachings. I thought this really summarizes. And then the goddess came into my life. She had been there for a while, like at least a couple of decades, through the mystery school that my mentor teaches. So I had a lot of exposure and interest in various traditions of the goddess. Initially, Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom, Tara, but that was in my yogic years when I was a yoga teacher. And then with my guru, I started to know the pantheon of the Vedas. And I was flabbergasted how much wisdom, how much help we have from these beings who are archetypes, but also they are real. I've seen them in my meditations. They have solved the problems for me because they have a dharma. Dharma is not just for human beings, it's a universal principle. So these goddesses, they want to come into your consciousness. And if you have a rapport, if you have a communication with them, ongoing communication is even better. They help you. They want to bring you peace, wealth. They want to improve your relationships. So I've been guided for many years now by goddesses. What is the goddess? It's someone within you. So you are the goddess. How do men deal with that? Well, the goddess is power in the Vedic tradition. It's called Shakti. And Shakti is in everyone. And when we connect with our Shakti, we have a lot of power. What is the power? Love, compassion, but primarily is protection. And who doesn't feel they need a little more protection right now? Look at the world in what state, right? Ongoing wars and the constant negotiations between countries, trying to avoid a global conflict. And now we need more protection. And I believe the goddesses can bring us that because that's their function. That's what they want to do. They want us happy. It's their dharma to help us. So there's this book called the Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure you've heard of it. A lot of people go by that wisdom, not Hindus. I'm not a Hindu, and I was raised Catholic, so I have a very close connection with Jesus and his teachings. And the Bhagavad Gita has added another measure, another fantastic level of wisdom. And what does it say? It says, when you talk to a divine being, I like to call them aliens. I don't know about you, extraterrestrials, rather, because they're really friends. And they are evolved, much more evolved than we are by millions of years. And that's really close to my heart to know there are these cosmic beings who are not superior to us. Of course, they're more evolved, but they don't look down on us. What do they want to do? They want to tell us, hey, I'm here. They're benevolent. So Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita that if you connect with them on a personal level and we call that worship in our language, and I think that's not precise because it's Indian, right? And not everybody can relate. In India, I can use this word, but here, do you want to worship? Even with God, you're like, you give him Jesus, you give him an embrace, you hug Jesus. Mother Mary, help us, you hug Mother Mary. So there is a closer connection. And so worship is more like making a phone call to me. How do I make a phone call? I have to pick up a phone and dial, speed dial, or enter the numbers. So similarly with these goddesses, all you have to do is call them with their frequencies, the sound waves, their traditional ones. And the yogis spent millions of years. Why do I call them yogis? Because it's a term everybody understands. But really, these beings have been spending all their lives understanding human consciousness, and they can go out of their bodies very easily. That's their expertise. They travel outside the bodies. They can even leave their bodies and take their consciousness and travel throughout the cosmos. So what have they seen? They have seen beings. They have seen benevolent beings, these gods and goddesses. I like to call them extraterrestrials who are evolved and benevolent. And they have received these sounds, these frequencies. They associated these sounds with the energy of these beings. So say if you say Om, you're immediately connecting with that primordial energy of creation. And if you say Om Gam, you're connecting with Ganesha, the elephant-headed being in the back. And if you say Om, I don't know, let me think of a Om Klim Lalita Tripura Sundariye Namaha. Those sounds connect you with the Divine Mother. So that's just a little example of how this works. With sounds, we can connect by when someone is a guest in your house, what do? You give them the best you can offer, right? If you like them. Otherwise, you give them some water.
I was going to say, if I don't like them, they won't be in my house.
Right. Well, so it happens, And so when you give them a little, like a fruit or a flower, especially flowers, they're very, very powerful. I try to have some flowers here and there. So I offer them a flower. And if you speak a mantra into a flower, that multiplies. This is a secret that has been revealed by the yogis, by my mentor, Dr. Pillai. So you speak in the flower and you say the mantra, it becomes at least 100 times more powerful. So you don't have to spend 3 hours chanting. Who has that time? I used to do that for 12 hours when I was a yogi. Now that I've embraced a more mainstream lifestyle, writing books and talking to more people, I can't do that anymore. We only have plus time is accelerating, and that's what science also tells us. Now we have the femtosecond, one quadrillionth of a second. Can we wrap our minds around that? Barely, right?
But I feel you may not be chanting, but the power of your words in these books is a really high frequency for me to read. And I felt that since I read your first book, BlissLab.
Oh, wonderful.
Before you even wrote a chapter in Evolving on Purpose, I could feel that. So there is
the best thing I've ever heard.
No,
I heard that with our books. Thank you so much.
I think that's why a lot of us do read certain books as well, because we can feel the frequency of that. That's why I read. That's why I read, because I feel good when I read certain books, and I don't really tend to read fiction anymore.
Oh, never. It doesn't satisfy me. I have a hunger for knowledge. I try to learn something new every second. It sounds an exaggeration, but literally that's my aim. I really want to understand how the cosmos works, how I work in the cosmos, how we're connected. Those are big themes in my life and also in my books, because it's all what I have experienced. I find all these beautiful books like, the Bhagavad Gita too, the Vedas. There are 4 volumes. They're huge, they're this big. Plus there are the commentaries, the Upanishads, the philosophy part. I used to be excited, studying all that. And then eventually you have to make a choice. I chose Bhakti. Bhakti is the path where with love, you connect with the goddess. So when you connect with the goddess, you're connecting with an aspect in the cosmos that's very creative and very benevolent. And I want that in me. I want to be creative. I'm hoping, that I'm benevolent enough, and I want to be better even. And we don't need to feel separated, separate. We're not separate. So say those mantras, offer a flower, and now you have a personal connection. Now you put the goddess in your network, and there are so many of them. So there was, I'll just say a little thing about the book, just a little reveal.
Yeah, and if you give us the title, because we haven't shared the
Yeah.
title yet.
Yes, so I'll give you the short title. It's easier to remember. Golden Age Goddesses. I remember I was taking a yoga class during my training, and it was like 4-hour asanas. So I was athletic at that time. I could handle it, and there was a portion of meditation, so it was doable. At the end, though, I was exhausted. So I was on my mat. I had my forehead down, was on my heels, sitting on my heels, and it's called the Balasana. A lot of people who have taken yoga can relate to that. So Balasana is very easy and also very relaxing, right? The child pose. So with my forehead down, and I was completely fulfilled. Oh, great class, like that. Oh, I love the meditation. And then all of a sudden, I started to see ancient Rome. Now, I lived in Chicago. It doesn't make any sense. Plus, after that, I lived in Ohio. So I wasn't even in New York, like where maybe, I don't know. I was an Italian woman from Rome, or at least I lived many years in Rome. And now I was in a foreign country for many years. So there was no reason for me to see ancient Rome. And I saw the Roman Forum in Rome. So how do you explain that? And I thought, this is very weird. But I didn't have time to feel that. All of a sudden, I felt a lot of sorrow. And I started crying. And that was really embarrassing because now I had other 20 people next to me. And I thought, oh, this is very weird. I don't want them to think I'm a cookie yoga teacher. So I'm going to take it easy. And these images kept coming and coming. And now I had maybe like 15-year experience with meditation. I was used to seeing things. You know, we're all quite intuitive if we give ourselves a chance. I always gave myself a chance to explore that. So I just explored these images, and it was the Roman Forum, but not the way it is today. When I lived in Rome, I hated it. And there was no reason. It was a beautiful place, but I never wanted to go. The Vesta Temple gave me the chills. I didn't want to deal with it. So I was here seeing these beautiful marbles, gorgeous oleanders, and these green shrubs, etc. And I was standing next to the temple, near the temple, against a white marble building. And I saw everything, every detail of the building. And I thought, this is very precise. But then, all in seconds, within seconds. And then I saw myself. I knew that there was a girl, was a Roman girl, ancient Roman girl, and that was me. And she was like terrorized, very, very scared. And she was kind of trembling. So she leaned against this marble wall. And I knew I was going to be killed. I just was very scared. So what I learned within seconds is that I was a Vestal priestess. I was 18, and I was going to be killed because I had met with a boy outside the temple. And there was no forgiveness for that generally, but for political reasons, sometimes emperors would forgive the connection. So the problem was in ancient Rome, there was a belief that the goddess could protect the entire empire. And the empire didn't last that long, but Rome was prominent for at least 1,000 years. And since the beginning, Vesta was the protective deity. Let's call it deity, but a being who was protecting the empire. So they felt if the Vestals were impure, then Rome would lose its greatness, protection, and victories, etc. So there was a political reason for that, for suppressing women, especially the Vestals, who were considered, like the ultimate pure beings in the empire. So I knew I was in big trouble. And I remember I had a trial that I will speak more about that in the book, because new information came So I learned, oh my goodness, you really can remote to view the past, even if you try. Once you put your consciousness on something, information will be revealed. And that's happened to me several times as a yogi or as a meditator, even while writing books. Images came to me, information. I could validate it from historical records, and that was very exciting. Because even when my mind said, this is weird, no, it's not possible, it doesn't make sense, historical records showed that everything was exactly like that. I'll give you an example. I saw myself with this tunic, and I had something tied around under my chest, like here. And there was this strange knot, and it was convoluted. And I thought, that's weird. Okay. So I saw myself that way. And then, like, I read these beautiful books while I was writing the book to validate. And there is a scholar from Harvard or Oxford, actually, Oxford scholar, who wrote a book about women in ancient Rome and the Vestals. And she said there was a Hercules knot under with this cord the Vestals used. And she described it, and it was exactly like that, exactly as I had seen it, like months earlier. So those are things that validate to me, because apparently we are omniscient. The goddess is within us. And if we give ourselves a chance, just like even if you're very busy, you have a long list of things to do, give it a chance. That's what I love. My books are experimental. So I give a little section at the end of every goddess description. It's try this. If you like it, right? I tell you, give yourself a goddess day, a spa day. You're the goddess. Because that's a very powerful technique. My guru also talks about it. He says, dress up as a god, as a goddess, and see what happens. And I've tried that, and it's very powerful. You forget your limited identity. The one person who can't do everything, who has a lot to do and no time, or not enough money for that thing. And all of a sudden you expand. You're everything. You're everywhere. You can do what you want. So we tried that in yoga school. I had very good teachers. I was very blessed. For anatomy, we got a real orthopedic doctor from the Cleveland Clinic, which is world famous. I mean, I was very blessed, but they taught me, dress like a goddess. And I was at the beginning of my yogi studies. But my yogi studies started 15 years before that. So I dressed up as a goddess for the first time, and I felt amazing, like really confident, but not arrogant, very sweet and humble, this energy. And also I was very benevolent, but self-confident, so humble and yet sovereign. Wow, I thought, wow, I'm royal. But also very sweet and humble and appreciating others. It was so beautiful. And I saw my schoolmates, who were also in the same course, the same certification course, they were dressed like goddesses, and they were beaming with energy and light and beauty. And I was like, oh, we should all do this all the time. Forget Halloween. I've never liked Halloween, but it's personal. I know people who live in the United States are comfortable with it. But embodying a goddess instead of a monster or a ghost, I mean, I really like it a lot. So yeah, that's one of the exercises you can do. Buy yourself a crown or buy yourself. I used a headband covered in roses, fresh roses. Oh, wow, just a little thing uplifts you. And flowers have a lot of secrets. So the yogis say that flowers came from the cosmos. They came from another galaxy, and they are purifiers. So a flower purifies the environment. That's why it's so commonly used in ceremonies and in rituals, etc. So I use a lot of those too. And I talk about flowers and how to use them to improve your life in very simple ways. It doesn't need to be expensive flowers like orchids or others, or, anemones. Those are expensive in every country, I believe. But it can be a daisy. It can even be a wildflower. right? You can use them as karma removal. And the goddesses tell you more about this, like it will be revealed. This is the time when we're vibrating much faster. So these themes are becoming more commonplace. Fortunately, they're going mainstream. And I'm so happy because this was my dream 30 years ago when I started. I thought, wow, it really, really, people resonate with that now. So you can take a flower, and improve your day. It's a very simple step.
And it is really helpful with what's going on in the world and how people can feel if they're looking at, the difficult things that are going on in the world. Just to remind yourself that there is another element to you that can make you feel better, and that you can magnetize more of what you want in your world rather than what you don't want. And we were just discussing before this interview started that it's been said that Western women will change the world, and maybe this is how.
Probably. We have to do our part, right? And men can acquire their real masculinity. Now they're the protectors, and they can be strong. You can be strong and still be able to cry when you watch a movie. I mean, they're not opposites. They really are complementary. Real masculinity, the way it's conceived in the Vedas, is the king who is absolutely righteous, who will sacrifice himself for the people. And he loves them so much. He's very compassionate and very powerful. He destroys a lot of demons. Demons of what? Poverty, ignorance, fear, also like injustice, right? He removes all these demons. They exist interdimensionally, and also people who embrace that. So we have humans who resonate with negativity and evil. What can we do? And it's part of the divine design, I believe, that we need to see that to be able to become the human angels or the divine beings we're supposed to be, that we are already. We need to activate that. So the goddess helps you to activate very fast because she's love. What is love is what sustains all the universes, infinite universes. There are some goddesses said to have created all the galaxies, and also they sustain life in the galaxies. And the male gods are what? They are very powerful, of course, but they are also inert without the Shakti. What's the Shakti? The goddess. So they are one. Gods and goddesses are one, or these female and males, extraterrestrials are one. So I like that. I like to see man being man. I don't need to become a man, in my case. People can do whatever they like, of course. But I like, when men are men, they're protective, they're loving, and they're just, righteousness is coming back. Why? Because we are increasing our intelligence with all this light, all the planets are brighter now. NASA can barely tell us everything, but we know. And also the sun is emitting so much light, it's moved to the center of the galaxy. That's traditionally the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one, which is much better. And we can see both now. The horrors of the past cycle that's ending and the new hope that's coming. Oh my God, yes, we can have justice. Yes, we can have good changes. So there's a lot of hope now. And we can sustain it, because if we go into negativity, we won't help ourselves or our children. Our children need us right now, big time.
Thank you for sharing that, Lalitha. Your book will be launching next week on the 11th of February. And I was delighted when you asked for that date, because that's my nan's birthday.
Very special soul.
Very, very spiritual date for me. Lalitha, we've got the opportunity to dress as goddesses in June.
Yes. We have a great event, very exciting event. Do you want to talk about it? I'm excited too.
Well, we're both featured in Dr. Joe Vitale's movie Zero Limits, and the movie premiere is in June in Sacramento. So
yes,
I am so excited that I actually get to meet you in person.
Same here, because I've known you for 3 years now, right?
Yeah. So that's awesome.
I will never forget your message. It was so gracious, and my body started tingling. You know, when you said my books do that to you. The first message I got for you, I thought, yes, I want to work with Katie. And you sent a letter about your work. I was like, yes, she's the one, on LinkedIn. Or no, on X or Twitter.
No, it was LinkedIn. I remember you telling me, because not that many people have come into my world through LinkedIn, but you're one of them. So
it was amazing. I felt this is an ideal for me.
and in fact, and look at the ripples that have happened. And now we're both in this movie together, which
this movie,
I don't think either of us could have dreamed of that.
And that's a big theme for us, isn't it? Zero limits. We have unlimited opportunities, of unlimited choices. And so the zero limits immediately summarizes with 2 words, thought and love. Nothing else will do the work, right? Love is big. And Ho'oponopono, a lot of people are familiar with that through their research and studies, right? Shamanism, or even the yogic path. There's a lot of that. Be love. And then when you're pure, even Jesus said this, like be like a child. And my teacher, my guru, his name is from India, but he's not just a Hindu. He's actually a big follower of Jesus. And yogis are not sectarian. They don't get stuck in a doctrine or dogma. And he said, when you're pure, everything is given to you. All the divine forces, all the higher benevolent beings will help you. Pure-hearted. So love others, even though they've hurt you. We all hurt each other sometimes. Some people get hurt more. It's a question of karma. Karma is a real thing. It's a neutral aspect of our lives. You do something, it will come back in some form sooner or later. And we have lived millions of lives. And this is the special life for everybody. So yeah, those who are alive now are very lucky. And also they're going to have some growing pains, unfortunately. It goes together, right? We wake up and we realize, oh my God, this didn't bother me 3 years ago. And now you see everything is broken, but you can clean up. We can clean up and we can rebuild better.
And often it has to all break down to rebuild, doesn't it? That's happened in my life a few times.
Exactly. And what seemed like a loss was an opportunity, amazing one.
Yeah, exactly. I want to bring it back to zero limits.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Joe Vitale, if people might not know who he is, he was actually one of the stars of the movie The Secret, which I came across.
My favorite book.
Yeah, I read the book and saw the movie years ago. And then I trained with Dr. Joe Vitale in 2013 as a law of attraction practitioner. So I've come full circle and back round to him, which is fascinating. But the movie trailer is out on the 10th of February, the day before your book launches. So it's amazing that we've got across that 24 hours.
What are the chances, right?
And then the actual movie will be out the last week of September. We don't know the date yet, but that's the week of my birthday. So I'm quite excited about that as well.
It will be wonderful. He's amazing. He's written 90 books, I believe. And he has a very powerful personal story of how you should never give up, how you're very powerful, even when at the bottom of your fortunes, like when lost everything. He was homeless, he had no place to live. And look, now he's a millionaire, now he's very inspirational. He's just received a presidential award.
Yeah.
The LA, Los Angeles Tribune, I think. Anyway, so that's a very prestigious award. Why? Because he's a really good person. Really, really, the true humanitarian, right?
Absolutely.
Not a political.
And you can feel the love from him. You can feel
He's
it.
a good guy, yeah.
Yeah. And we will put the link to the movie in the show notes as soon as we're allowed to. So I'll add it to this podcast episode. Even if we've already put it out before the trailer comes up, I'll go in and add it again, so you'll be able to access the movie trailer and our personal trailers as well. We'll pop them in there. And all of the links to the book when it launches, I'll pop them in this episode as well. Lalitha, is there anything else you'd like to share?
A little bit of another reveal. The goddesses come from the ones I spoke about in the movie are goddesses with whom I've had a personal connection. Like another time when I was in India, in a long spiritual retreat, we were doing meditation like from 5 a.m., 6 a.m. until like for 3-4 hours, I forget. But within 20 minutes, I visited the galaxies with a goddess. I never thought I want to visit the galaxies. Maybe a little bit during my yogic path, but for so many years, I never thought about it. And it was Lalitha. I think it's because my teacher gave me the name Lalitha, and there is a teaching among the yogis that when you take a new name, everything changes in your life. Why? Because it's a frequency. You're acquiring, an extra boost. You're not limiting yourself by name, birth, bank account. Lots of people identify themselves with the money they have or their relationship. So we have black holes. But when you acquire a new name, then you can have a new destiny. And that happened to me. So maybe that's why this goddess came and everything was black. And then years later, I learned about the void. I didn't know about that. And nobody knew, actually. People talked about black holes and things like that. I think the void is a new teaching by scientists. So she came, and there was so much energy, even in her background. And she was beautiful, and she explained things to me, cosmology, secrets, and also sacred geometry, but with new revelations. And I was a little skeptical when I came out of the meditation because I thought, is that real? But during yoga nidra, you don't go to sleep. You're fully alert. And it's not hypnosis. So there's no chance anybody is suggesting things. It's a very pure process. I respect hypnosis, but for me, it's like, I must, like Thomas, I have to see it myself. She took me through the galaxies and these wormholes. I didn't even know the term wormhole. I learned it years later years later, I found this beautiful TV show called Stargate. And I thought, that's what I did. I went through the wormholes with goddess Lalitha, who controls the galaxies, by the way. So she's a cosmic goddess, extraterrestrial. And she's very benevolent. So I have a connection with her because of my name and the mantras I learned. There's so much literature about that. So many texts, ancient texts about her, 1,000 names. So what happens when you hear all these names? You vibrate much faster. All of a sudden, your thoughts change. Your brain is redesigned. And there's a lot of science that shows that the brain responds to these frequencies, to these sound waves. And I was very excited when I started to have a whole new life thanks to this goddess. My thoughts changed. Like I had new ideas I implemented. Like it can be a simple thing. I got a degree in Vedic astrology, which is a science in India. So I took a BA. And then I started to write for this magazine. I had to become proficient first, of course. But then I started to publish in this very exclusive magazine, which is only for scholars in India. And I got the cover. I was just like, hey, is this me? And then with the Nadi readings, which is another way to find out about the Akashic records, I found out that I've always been an expert of this in many lives. So I thought, oh, that's why everything was so easy for me, like yoga philosophy, and also the Ayurveda. Like I learned it right away. then I went deeper for decades, but yeah, because they are oceans. Vedic astrology, it was all like remembering. It was so easy. Yeah. So this is an example how a goddess can change your destiny. Also, I talked about Vesta, of course, and my memories, and it ends well, relatively well. So I didn't die. Another reveal, but there's more, a lot more that I don't want to reveal right now. So the
No.
book was exciting, and other goddesses that came to me in meditation. And it's an infinite world because there are millions of them. And then I believe in one infinite creator, the supreme God. But there are millions of beings who help see the life. A lot of people interested in the UFO, community.
Yeah. There's a reason that we've all been fascinated with that, isn't there?
Yes. So I wasn't fascinated until about 5 years ago. No, wait, sorry, 10 years ago. But then things started happening. In the other book, I talk about them, and it was interesting, and it's very positive, actually.
And I totally relate because I've been in past life regressions, and I've had one on another planet as a different kind of being. So I totally get that now.
Yeah, I remembered one past life on another place. I talked a little bit about it, but then it seems so far out, like out there that I think give yourself time. Don't jump into all this simultaneously, but you can if you like. Goddesses, ETs, all you like. There is a cosmology that's been suppressed. A lot of secrets about our history. There's so much. It's very hopeful. We are very powerful, and we have infinite powers, and they need to be activated. And also, of course, we have to remove the obstacles, which is the karma, the mindset. The mindset can be really an obstacle.
And I believe that all of the books that we do between us are about activating our power.
Yes.
That's what they're all about.
They're helping now. I forget what I write. And then sometimes I see a sentence from one of my books and I'm like, I wrote that?
Yeah, I do. I do with my poetry as well. I do because I often channel things. It flows through me.
Probably.
And it's not my memory or my mind.
No, it's not an intellectual process for me at all.
No.
Yes, there's been guidance, beautiful guidance, amazing guidance.
And I heard something
from teachers and books, whatever.
And I heard something recently that when you write by hand as well, when you type, it affects, say, 10 neurons in the brain. But when you write by hand, it affects tens of thousands of neurons in your brain. Mm-hmm. And correct. So your body becomes a complete channel when you're handwriting. So I always handwrite, even though I've got arthritis in my hands. I'm able to handwrite. It is
painful for me to write sometimes, but I do write a lot of things because I know it's powerful. You can write mantra 45 for 45 days for a certain amount of repetitions, and that, I mean, you literally can manifest anything. Yes, I did ruin one of my nails doing something. Big reveal. I'm honest. It's not easy, and also it takes hours. But you can do. At that time, as a yogi, I could do a lot of things I cannot do now. So also I spoke about Mary Magdalene and secrets I found out about her, and they're all wonderful for humanity, not just to women. And it just bothered me so much, like my whole life I've been thinking about that. And I thought, all these inquisitions. There was a book that came out now, and it was classified by the CIA 50 years ago. And now it came out. And now it's being declassified. And it says that 1 million women were killed by the Inquisitions, multiple ones. There are 7 Inquisitions they've been. And mostly they were women. 98% were women. 97 or 98, I don't remember. So mostly women, 1 million of them. At that time, the population, cities were not so populated, and the country even less. So to kill 1 million women, and that is a way to suppress the power of the human population, suppressing the Shakti, suppressing children. which is purity. Even Jesus prioritized children. He said, let the children come to me. And those who hurt the children, it's better if they had a big stone, big rock around their neck and be thrown into the ocean, because it's the worst thing that can be done to humans. So that happened. I believe a lot of evil was able to sustain itself with all this suffering. Suffering feeds evil beings, but now we understand that. Everybody can understand that. And vice versa, love sustains all the higher beings who are returning. So that's beautiful, I believe. Right? Righteousness is back. That's what the golden age is. Truth, righteousness, freedom for children, women, and men becoming empowered to be themselves without being ashamed, and with, helping the creation, supporting the creation with their masculinity, which is pure, divine. So we have this entanglement. That's what I also talk about. And so it's exciting for men too. There is an entanglement of the divine masculine with the divine feminine. So men don't need to become feminine to have all this. They can be exactly who they are and enjoy the Shakti, because the Shakti is also in man. Again, it's love, compassion, and protection. So I find that that's very empowering for everyone, also children, of course, because they need us. They need pure-hearted, strong women and men. Right?
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Lalitha, where can our listeners find you?
They can find me everywhere in the cosmos, but Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, former Twitter. They can find me on my website, which is called ShreemLab, one word. Shreem is the sound of Goddess Lakshmi, goddess of beauty and wealth. And so Shreem is the password for accessing that one goddess. And so lab is a word that I conceived thanks to my teacher, because he's done a lot of experiments. He has done studies with Harvard University medical school to do research on the brain. So he uses the word lab a lot because he wants to prove it to he doesn't need the research. He's a yogi, so he knows he's a master. But we need it because it's validating, right? To know, oh, look at these studies and look, it really works. So also Brain Institute. So I call it ShreemLab. But you can just search my name and you'll find it anyway. Mm-hmm.
And we will share all of the links again in the show notes.
Thank you. And I can't wait for the book launch. So I recommend the book. I believe it's my best, even though the others were also bestsellers. But this one is really close to my heart because we do need more love. We need more support and more protection.
Thank you again for today, Lalitha.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Thanks for listening to the Soulful Valley podcast. I trust that you will have heard something today that you were ready to hear, and that it's made you feel a little lighter, more aligned and connected with your soul's purpose, and you have been reminded of who you really are and the true nature of the power that you hold within you. My aim for this podcast is to bring love, light, wisdom, raise consciousness and ease suffering. If you've enjoyed the show, go back and listen to some of the back catalogue of previous episodes. Subscribe, follow, rate and review so that you're notified when new episodes drop in, and share this podcast with anyone that you think it may help to listen to. You can connect with me at soulfulvalley.com, and if you scroll to the bottom of the website, there are links to my social media platforms.